Well, thank you. Obviously, difficult circumstances, so happy to answer any questions. As you guys know, there's a lot we can't specifically talk about. You know, we've got to, as a coach, I've got to do my very best, certainly, to get my team ready for a big, big game tomorrow. And so certainly we got to do that. So happy to answer any questions.
You cleared him in September of 2016 after you'd been arrested and cleared. Were you aware of the April 2016 allegation against him?
I can't speak specifically about anything to any of these guys with those things.
Why should anyone have confidence in your ability to run the team program?
Well, I mean, it's up for everybody, you know, to decide. I mean, I believe in what we're doing on and off the court. We do our very, very best to educate as well as what Mark has talked about with certain things that we do to educate, and we'll continue to do that.
Have you spoken to Reggie? Has he said anything about these accusations?
We have spoken, certainly. You know, the specifics of it I'm not going to get into, but we have spoken about it.
How will you handle him at practice, you know, being suspended and having these allegations against him, and just having him?
You know, it's a unique situation, certainly. My biggest focus is got to get the guys ready tomorrow who are going to play. And so that's what I have to do moving forward and this afternoon.
Do you think there's any sentiment on the team of his teammates not wanting him around?
Oh, I don't know that.
As far as the distraction of it, I mean, we've had instances before a couple of years ago when players were suspended. You know, it obviously caused a lot of distraction, not only off the court but on the court. Do you sense that this might disrupt the team in that way?
I think every circumstance is different, certainly. You know, so I would hope that this group, you know, from a basketball standpoint tomorrow, I think these guys are a tight-knit group, and I think they're playing well. So I know they've got a lot to play for. You know, so every circumstance is certainly different. But I expect these guys to go out and compete extremely hard tomorrow.
When were you made aware of this allegation that led to today's suspension?
You know, I'm not going to get into specifics of all that stuff.
Put in a lot of programs last year with everything you went through. What's your disappointment level that you're still dealing with all this stuff?
You know, you try really, really hard to educate as best you can, and I think Mark has done a terrific job as well with some of the things that he mentioned earlier that he does to educate. And so we're going to do that. We're going to continue to do that. I think that's great for our players. It's great for our staff, and we'll continue to do that.
Richard, you have the power, I mean, regardless of the process that the school goes through, to suspend a player, to sideline a player. Did you ever give any thought to that throughout the last year and a half, to suspending him with this other matter?
You know, when certain things like this happen, you know, big things, you go to your boss and certainly you discuss and you go with what the policies are in place more than anything, and we did that.
What is it you feel you've brought to this program in the time that you've been here to try to curb situations like this?
Well, we've put together, obviously it's been written about and talked about. We've put together over the last, I don't know, 2 years to go along with what we hope to educate every day, obviously, as a coach. You know, but we bring in speakers every fall and summer to continue to educate them. Myself, educates as much as we possibly can to go along with what the athletic department does as well.
Is there any possibility in your mind that Reggie could play again this season?
I have no idea to predict that.
You've had players in the past dismissed for things like domestic assault, things like that. Now we're dealing with the Reggie Lynch situation. Do you have a cultural problem within your program when it comes to the treatment of women?
I don't believe that we do. You know, I mean, it's certainly, we're going to try to get better every single day. And we take a lot of pride in our culture and educating our guys. And we'll continue to do that. So I don't believe so.
Richard, where does it begin and end with you, with your relationship with players? How much do you bring them into the office? How much do you feel you're allowed to know about their life outside of basketball? How much do you invest in that?
Well, you got to. You know, I mean, as a coach, you've got to invest in their life first and foremost. And you've got to be, you know, you've got to be a coach. You've got to be, you know, a father figure, and you've got to be involved as you possibly can in their lives. And you got to educate. You really, really got to educate, because that's what this job is all about, and that's what we all take pride in doing.
Was it a mistake to bring him here?
I'm sorry?
Was it a mistake to recruit him, put him on the team?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have, that's for, I don't know.
background do you do on especially a transfer guy when you're recruiting him to bring him in? How much?
We do a lot of background. You know, and we never saw any red flags leading up to this, certainly. So we do as much background as we possibly can with everybody we bring in.
Basketball-wise, you know, he meant a lot to your team. Moving forward, how do you, did you meet with your team, and how will you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously difficult, you know, stemming from Eric Curry, you know, similar position. So certainly not to make light of this and make it about basketball, but, you know, if you're asking specifically about basketball, you just got to have the mentality as a team. You know, it's kind of a next man up type mentality. And our guys, they're a prideful group, and they're playing well, so they got to be ready for it.
From your perspective, why let them practice but not play?
Well, when certain things like this happen, you go to your boss, you know, and you talk about what's the policies and so on. And certainly with Mark, we talked about that.
So this is because of the policies that are already written down?
That Mark and I discussed it, and I said, you know, what are the policies and so on. You know, I don't know all the stuff with all those things, and that was the decision that we came up with.
Did you advocate one way or the other? Let practice.
I fully support Mark. And I think he's a terrific boss, and I support his decision, and I was certainly in on it as well, so I support him.
You were with Reggie and Mark this morning or today when he made the decision. You know, how did Reggie have anything to say? How was his?
You know, I mean, you know, I'm not going to get into details certainly about personal conversations. You know, but anytime, you know, from a basketball standpoint, you know, a guy who plays a lot. Obviously, that's difficult for your team. You know, so I've got a locker room full of a lot of guys that I got to, you know, tend to and get ready for IU tomorrow. And we're going to have to fight like heck to do it.
What is your reaction to those who say that a suspension is not enough? He needs to be off the team.
You know, I think that there's policies to handle all these things. And, you know, I support Mark and trust him and, you know, trust that all these policies, they're in place for a reason.
Need to change.
I'm just a basketball coach. I don't know. Thank you, guys. See ya.